I am especially concerned for like the women of Afghanistan because I'm not sure if you know, but in 19 until from 1996 to 2001, the Taliban had control over three-quarters of Afghanistan. So they
Hmm.
were in control, and we saw how they treated women. We saw that women barely had any rights. They were not allowed
Hmm.
to, they weren't allowed to go to school. And when they went outside, they were only allowed to be with like a man. And if not, then they weren't able to go outside. So we saw
Hmm.
how what happened back then.
Yeah.
And this wasn't even too long ago. We're talking about 2001, which is like, okay, 2 decades ago. Still, that's not too long ago, right? And
Hmm.
I remember I saw this post, and it said in 2000 UNICEF was basically able to see that only 4 to 5% of kids were able to read and write in Afghanistan in the year 2000, and this is when the Taliban still had control. And because of that, only 14.6 of women were educated or could read or write in the year 2000, right? So it's that, like, in the past 2 decades, they've worked so hard to like rebuild the country. They've worked so hard to get a woman out there. Women have like, you would most recently you would see them on TV, you would see them speaking English, you would see them graduating university. And now I worry that we're just gonna go back in time again to two decades ago, where women just don't
Hmm.
have rights anymore. And most likely that is gonna happen. We're already seeing like videos circulating around of them like kicking women, sending them home and telling them you can't
Hmm.
do this, you can't do that, right? So I wouldn't
Hmm.
be surprised if that happens again.
Yeah, because what it seems like just watching videos from the leaders, because I'm not, they're doing press conferences and all that, which is it's a very weird thing to see. It's so weird to see. Like I
Were you
see
able to see that one press conference of
like the big
one of
one,
the
the
leaders
big one.
speaking out?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What was your? I want to get your take on that. Just watching.
Yeah, so I was able to reach out to the people back home and get their opinions as well. And my parents, my whole, like my family, we watched it live.
Hmm.
And obviously he's not going to come out and say a bunch of negative things. He wants to gain the trust of people, right? He wants to
Hmm.
seem genuine and good, and he wants to seem like he's going to do a great job. Why should we believe you this time around, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was all bullshit. I didn't believe a word.
Yeah, no, it literally is like we have this quote in French. It's called "Tu mens comme tu respires." That means you lie like you breathe. Like it's so easy. It just comes out, like you breathe, you lie, or whatever.
That's a
And
perfect example.
so just watching that, I'm just like, man, I don't even think you believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. And now like, I think one of the hardest things to watch is the desperation of everybody going to the airport, to the Kabul airport, like how it's like it's packed, like you can't even get into the airport. Like I remember the first few videos of people clinging on to the wheels of the plane. Like those are, man, those that was very tough to watch. Like I just want to get your thoughts on that.
You know what? It was so heartbreaking. I'm sure like most of the people that kind of know what's going on in Afghanistan is that's probably the first footage that they saw. The
Yeah.
people like running to the airports and running to um, flee the country. And this happened because the Taliban, obviously, they closed most borders, and so
Hmm.
people, the only way that people can escape is they go from different provinces, they come to Kabul, and then they go to Kabul airport to try and leave. And you can't blame them, right? As much, who
Hmm.
doesn't want to stay in their country? Who doesn't want to be surrounded with their people? Who doesn't want their children to grow up in their own country? But they have no other
Hmm.
option but to flee. If I was there, if you were there, we would probably be doing the same thing. We would want to leave, right?
Oh yeah.
And knowing that some countries are accepting, refugees, accepting people, I would take the chance. I would drop everything I have and I would go to the airport and try to get it. So we can't blame them, right?
Hmm.
And it is heartbreaking to see people losing there's literally every single day I'm in touch with people back home and they tell me, you know what, somebody else died today at the airport. They're losing count. Somebody is injured. I'm not sure if you saw, there was a footage of kids being passed around, people
Yeah.
giving their kids to the people there and trying to get them over the fence. That just shows
Mm-hmm.
you how worried they are for their own lives, and they want their children to at least make it out safely, right? I wish I could send like an airplane and I could be like, you guys,
Yeah.
all of you guys just come in here. I wish we could do
Scoop
that. I wish we could,
everybody.
right? I wish I had that power. I wish I
Mm-hmm.
could be a pilot and just fly to Afghanistan, accept every single person, because I know, I'm sure you've heard of it, but Canada is accepting like 20,000
Mm-hmm.
like refugees or people that are affiliated with like the Canadian government
Yeah.
and or worked for like uh, work for the embassy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many Afghan's population is 37, Afghanistan's population is 37 million,
Eesh.
20,000. You look at that. How about all those other
Mm-hmm.
people who just have lived regular lives there, who who
Yeah.
may are not affiliated with the government, but who just want a better life for their children, right? Who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want that as a
Mm-hmm.
parent? And so my heart
Mm-hmm.
breaks for those people who now just have to live with the Taliban under control.
Yeah, because there's like a whole, like, let's say the U.S. has been there for like what 20 years or whatever. So there's a whole generation of kids like they grew up without the Taliban, but now there's this new generation like their first memories are gonna be under Taliban rule. Some people have this misconception that because it's just what I've been hearing from people who are, to me, they're like disingenuous people, but they talk about, man, we don't need to accept all these people here. Why are we accepting all these people in our countries or whatever? And I'm like, fam, do you think people want to come here willingly? Like nobody wants to leave their home. Like if you told me I had to leave Canada to go somewhere I know nothing about and I can only bring the clothes on my back, I don't want to do that, but I will do that if it's life or death. That's something people don't seem to understand.
This again um, goes back to what we said earlier. Like people are just so wrapped, are so busy with their own lives here. They're so occupied that they don't realize that across the world, people are dying right now. This second, there's but the second we're talking, there's people crowded, thousands of people crowded in the airport, in Kabul airport, trying to just make a better life for themselves and their kids. Of course, they don't want to leave. If I had the chance, if my country was safe, I would leave everything and I would live there and raise my children there, right? But they don't have
Mm-hmm.
another option but to flee the country and to start a life elsewhere. And so I just hope that more countries like Canada and other countries, you know, accept more refugees because there's so many people on living there who may not be affiliated with like the Canadian
Mm-hmm.
or government or American government, but who still want to, live a normal life, a free life, where they can speak up and where their voices are heard, who want to just be able to go to school freely, girls, young women. So I hope that that happens in the next coming weeks. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
In terms of care to give, like in terms of the people you have in Afghanistan right now, how are they doing and what is the situation like? Do you think it's gonna be a bit till you could actually be operational again in Afghanistan? Like where's your mind at in terms of the charity in the area?
Yeah, so um, because everything happened so fast, it's like, oh, nobody was prepared. Even the people back home, the people that I work with, they weren't prepared. Nobody gave me a heads up. Nobody gave them a heads up. Nobody knew, right?
Yeah.
So as of now, I'm in touch with the people I work with every day, and I tell them to
Mm-hmm.
send me updates because like life is unpredictable there at the moment. You don't know what's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen the next morning. And so, as of now, they're all in their houses, especially the people that worked for like organizations and nonprofits. I'm not sure if you heard, but the Taliban are now going door to door, seeing if there's any documentations or proof of evidence that you are, let's say, educated or you went to university or you worked for the government or anything like that. And so I tell them, and everybody advises them to stay indoors. Don't leave your house right
Mm-hmm.
now. So at the moment, the only way that I'm able to do anything is I'm just talking to them. I'm just
Yeah.
communicating to them. So I wouldn't say that they're safe. I wouldn't say that they're
Mm-hmm.
safe, but um, I'm hoping that like things get a little bit better and that businesses open up and that they're able to at least go out for now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I've had a lot of people reach out to me to like raise money and to do something back home, but I'm not gonna do that when I know the banks are closed, right? So
Yeah.
as soon as I get like an update that banks are open up, I'm gonna start collecting money and hopefully help the displaced people that are living in Kabul and in shelters and tents and hand out like items to them. As soon as I get a heads up from my team, I'm gonna make sure that we do that. So
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you all keep updated on the page
Mm,
and I
yeah.
will
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.